Hi, thanks for joining me in another video. I must be experiencing deja vu. Haven't we reviewed this car before? Nope. This is the Subaru Solterra. It's built from the same platform as a Toyota bZ4X, so it's easy to get them mixed up. They are different vehicles though, so they have some differences including powertrain options. Alright, let's focus on Subaru's first fully electric vehicle, the Solterra. Let's see how it does. The 2024 Solterra ranges in price from $45,000 to $52,000 depending on the trim you choose. We've got the Touring, which is the highest trim they offer. For the range, we're looking at between 222 to 227 miles depending on the trim. Our car should get 222 miles on a full charge, so we'll be testing that out later. Even the slightly longer range seems pretty low considering it's an adventure vehicle and is capable of some off-road trips. Solterras come standard with an all-wheel drive powertrain and charge from 10 to 80% in about 35 minutes using a DC fast charger. I don't think they went overboard with the electric style, which is good. Looking at this on the road, you might not know this was an EV. At a quick glance, you may question whether you just saw a bZ4X or Solterra. They're basically twins. The Solterra does have a familiar Subaru design. It has a C-shaped LED headlights and two round fog lights down at the bottom. In the back, the taillights are sharp, but they aren't full length like on the bZ4X. If that doesn't help distinguish them, you can always just look for the emblem. One thing I like about the Solterra is its 8.3-inch ground clearance. This makes it easier to get in and out of the vehicle. Of course, it's great for driving on unpaved roads. Also equipped on the car are the 20-inch alloy wheels. There isn't a front, which isn't a big deal, but it would be nice to have. So let's move on to the back to check out the storage. I like this wide opening. We'll be able to easily load things up. There's 23.8 cubic feet of cargo space behind the second row seats and offers a max cargo room of 63.5 cubic feet. I think this would be a fantastic spot for Subaru to add in a V2L outlet. I always see the media pictures of Rivian and Hyundai out in the forest powering up a campsite. Seems like it'd be fitting for Subaru to be doing that too. Let's add some stuff in here and test out its space. Let's check out the storage behind the second row seats first. And I brought a few items. So you can probably fit some longer, thinner items in the front, but this also leaves space to pull down this cover. So I have two more items that don't really fit back here. They're a little bit bigger, so I'm going to put the second row seats down just so we can see what we're working with. Okay, so now we have more space. We'll push these items in. The seats are split up so you don't have to fold both of them down, but I did. So I have two more items I'm going to put back here. Okay, and as you can see, we can still fit a lot more and pile it up here. And then we'll just close this. And we're ready to go. Subaru fans will feel a little out of place with the interior design. It's not like their other vehicles. There's a high-mounted driver display and a squared-off steering wheel. I was never a fan of the bulky steering column. It's not flattering to the dashboard look. In the center is a 12.3-inch touchscreen and various buttons beneath it. This cloth along the dashboard feels cheap. I hope they switch up the material options later. Since we have the Touring level, we get a few extra features, such as ventilated front seats, which are amazing right now in the Phoenix summer, an upgraded audio system, a digital rearview mirror, and a panoramic glass roof with a power sunshade. Another thing I wanted to point out is the bar across the roof. In the bZ4X, I mentioned how flimsy it felt. I questioned its purpose. In contrast, the Solterra has a much sturdier and thicker bar here. The infotainment system is simple but doesn't offer much. The good thing is you get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Speaking of Apple and Android, you can charge up your phones with available USB-C and USB-A ports up in the front, or wirelessly charge your phone with the higher trims. The driver display is positioned a little ahead of you. If you're tall, you'll be able to see no problem, but if you're shorter like me, you'll have to adjust your seating and steering wheel. Before we drive, we're at 100% charge and our odometer is at 2,651 miles. We'll drive it and check on our final range later. So the Solterra has more regenerative braking levels than the bZ4X. However, it still doesn't have true one-pedal driving. And what I mean by that is when you let off the accelerator, the car won't come to a complete stop on its own. So you'll have to press the brake pedal to come to a complete stop. Behind your steering wheel are paddles to adjust your regenerative braking levels. At the highest level, your car will quickly slow down when you let off the accelerator. Then on the lowest level, you'll just coast like in a regular gas car. There are 3 driving modes and X mode, and X mode is useful for snowy terrain and driving on inclined roads. The drive is well controlled and the car does well over large bumps on the road. The interior cabin noise level does fairly well on the road, but on the freeway, it's kind of noisy. There's a lot of wind noise coming in. As a Subaru, you'll get a lot of standard safety features. If you go for the higher trims, you'll get advanced parking assist. I've engaged lane keeping assist. Let's see how that does. So it's pretty good about giving you notifications to put your hands on the wheel. If I let my hand off of the wheel, in a few seconds it'll pop up. And also the steering wheel is pretty sensitive, so even just a light touch will notify it that you're paying attention. There's an infrared sensor right here, and I confirmed last night that it's on. I don't think it's doing much since I still have to put my hands on the wheel. For those interested in some technical specs, the Solterra charges up using the J connector for level 1 and 2 charging and CCS for DC fast charging. Soon, hopefully, we'll see this car outfitted with a NACS port, but an adapter should be made available. The onboard charger is capable of charging at up to 8 kilowatts. That'll get you from 0 to full in 9 hours, so you'll have no issues charging it overnight. On our skateboard platform, we have our battery pack that's made up of 96 lithium-ion cells and has a nominal voltage of 355.2 volts and a capacity of 72.8 kilowatt hours. For the powertrain, Subaru isn't offering a front-wheel drive option, seeing as this is more of an adventure car that makes sense. It doesn't matter which trim is picked, you'll be getting the same 2 synchronous permanent magnet motors. One on the front axle and one on the back. Individually, they're capable of 80 kilowatts of output and have a gear ratio of 13.8 to 1. Together, they're capable of 215 horsepower or 249 foot-pounds of torque. This isn't going to be the fastest car on the road, but the extra drive modes and ground clearance should help with off-road driving. The Solterra has basically the same EPA rating as the BZ4X, getting a combined 104 miles per gallon equivalent for the premium trim or 102 for the limited and touring trim. We're at 10% and our odometer is at 2,855 miles. That means we drove 204 miles, and if we went down to 0%, we'd get roughly 226 miles. That's better than our EPA estimated 222 miles of range. We'll be plugging into these 350 kilowatt EVgo chargers to test out our charging speeds. Here's our charging graph. At 26%, we hit a peak of 102 kilowatts, and then it starts to slow down around 40%. Looks like a steady charging curve. We ended our session at 80%, still charging at 46 kilowatts. We got exactly what Subaru stated it would charge up in, 10 to 80% in 35 minutes. Our total cost for this charging session was $30.39. How does Solterra do? Yay for ground clearance and spacious cabin. I'm also going to mark having all-wheel drive as a standard as yay. Seeing as this is an adventure vehicle, it makes sense to have that extra traction. Not having a front is lovable, but would have been nice, and I'd like to have seen more being offered from the infotainment system. Lastly, the range offerings aren't great. When comparing it to its competitors like the Kia EV6, it doesn't do well. The Subaru Solterra offers a fun EV option for adventures with a comfortable ride and ample space for passengers and gear. However, improvements in range would be welcome. I'm excited to see Subaru's future EVs and potential platform changes. Choosing between the BZ4X and Solterra may come down to price or preference for the Solterra's capabilities. Thanks for spending time with me today. Have an EV I can review? Email me at info@kayasev.com. Support our channel and check out our sticker shop. Kaya's my dog. And follow us on social media at KayaSEV. That's all for now, and happy charging.